Everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another video. This one's going to be called something like Love 'em or Hate 'em bands, or artists that you either get or you don't get. It was inspired really by Steve Whitty, who recently he did a video on ELP album rankings, and I commented to him, or we had a little discussion, and the upshot of the discussion was that they're a band that you either get or you don't, and we were talking about John Peel, the legendary British DJ, who referred to this band as transcendentally awful in a piece of journalism which he wrote when he went to see them live. I think Steve also said that he described them as being something like a waste of electricity. Or something like that, and but then Steve was talking about what a huge influence they'd been on him through the years, and how much he loved their music. And I think it's got to be said that ELP possibly sum up the idea of a band which you really either you get them or you don't get them. There's not much middle ground. There are people, there's a really sizable section of the music population who just absolutely love their music and have collected it for years and are really passionate about it, and by the same token there's a huge number of people who just think they're total crap. Oddly enough, I'm actually undecided, because I'm slightly prejudiced by all the stuff I've read about them through the years, but I am keeping an open mind. But generally speaking, they're a band which polarises opinion, so that's what I'm going to focus on today. I'm going to show 5, and then I'm going to invite you to make some suggestions. So this is number 1, ELP. This is their album Tarkus. The next band is Queen, obviously one of the biggest bands that ever walked the planet. Colossal record sales all over the world, huge live act. Extremely passionate fans of this band, people who've collected them and just loved them all the way through the years. I would count myself in that category. By the same token, you get people who fervently hate them, don't like them at all, and I think often with these bands there's a kind of mutual incomprehension between the two camps. Personally, I've never understood how anybody could dislike Queen. To me, they just seem like the total package, They're a band that's multi-dimensional, a bit like the Beatles. You think, well, okay, so you might not like one aspect of them, but there are so many aspects that it's difficult for me to imagine how you could hate everything Queen did, in the same way that I can never understand how you could possibly dislike everything the Beatles ever did, when you're talking about a catalogue as diverse as that. Anyway, I'm kind of going off at a tangent. This video is not meant to be me sounding off, it's meant to be me just pointing out, yeah, there are people who love Queen and ELP, and there are people who kind of hate them as well. Okay, back on track, yes. Do I need to say much about Kiss? The Kiss army have bestrode the earth for centuries, and there are so many people who just totally do not get Kiss and totally dismiss them. They don't tend to be a band where you get people saying, oh, I like some Kiss songs, I don't like others, or I quite like Kiss. Generally speaking, it's either, yeah, love Kiss, I've always bought their music. Big shout out to Jolly Roger, passionate Kiss fan there. Lots of people on the BC, to be fair, in North America in particular, who absolutely love Kiss. And then also you get people who they have a total, I don't want to say mental block, but they just do not get Kiss. A bit like Queen. Personally, I don't get it. I think let's just not go there. Okay, right. This next band is I'm a bit surprised by this one. This is XTC, and it's crept up on me recently on the VC that this band maybe falls into this category. Again, they're not a huge band, like Queen and so on, but the experience that I've had talking and conversing with people on the VC is that there are lots of people who just totally love this band. Jeff Party does, Sean's Lock does, there's lots of people, Tommy Burton, and then I did a video on them just before Christmas where I was talking about the songs of Colin Moulding, and it's had the most hits of any video that I've done for a long time. and tons and tons of people wrote into that to say how much they loved XTC and what a great part they'd played, you know, in their musical upbringing. But by the same token, I've encountered views on the VC which indicate that people are very, very indifferent to them. A few people have said things like, yeah, I've heard them, but I've never listened to them, I've never bothered with them. And people who've just said, no, just do not get it, I just don't understand what people like about them. I think it's possibly Andy Partridge's voice, which can be a little bit difficult to take sometimes. But certainly as an XTC fan, I find it very difficult, again, a bit like with the Beatles or with Queen. I mean, if you were to listen to all their music, you know, Skylarking and you know, and the earlier albums, I personally find it hard to understand how you could dismiss all of it, but people do. And the final album is by The Fall, and of all these groups, this is possibly the one which divides people the most, because The Fall were a really provocative band, and they did stuff that was very abrasive and very strange and quite hard to take. But you get, I mean, the Fall fan base out there is really fervent, and you get people, lots of people who say The Fall is their favourite band. You know, I've heard that over and over again. By the same token, I've read and talked to people over the years who say that The Fall are total shit and just a lot of pretentious waffle. I mean, there are people who just do not hear any musical or lyrical content in their music, and by the same token there are people who just think that Marky Smith was a total godlike genius and poet. Again, John Peel, you know, totally hated ELP, and The Fall was his favourite band. So that's kind of interesting, the fact that you know, he had those two bands. He had his Bête Noire, which was ELP, his favourite band ever, which was The Fall, and both those acts arguably are very polarising, you know, love them or hate them. Anyway, that's the thread. Hope you can jump on it, and hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.